Inside Football is proud to have Joey as our presenting partner. Nicotine with a quick hit, long tail, in the strength of your choice. As a thank you for being part of Inside Football's crew, we teamed up with Joey to give you a 35% discount on your first order. Get it all at meetjoey.com/football.
All right, everybody, for Inside Football, here with Steve Keim, Marvin Lewis. We're out here, Santa Margarita High School in Rancho Santa Margarita. Sounds like a really spicy drink at a good Mexican restaurant, but they're also Carson Palmer. You guys have both had him as a general manager and head coach. He's out here coaching his old high school alma mater. We got some great stuff we're going to do with him on his career, and Larry Fitzgerald as he goes into the Hall of Fame. But we're also going to get to our mailbag and get some of the questions that you guys have sent into the show. So
understanding what all the job encompasses. And when I say that, it's not just draft and free agency. It's overseeing a coaching staff and doing their contracts, working with the equipment staff, having a sort of an overseeing of all football operations, the training room staff. There's a lot of people in the organization that we take care of and that we have to oversee, and I don't think they understand what all goes into that job.
how about the relationship between yourself and the owner?
Yeah, I think that maybe is the most
Because
complicated
I think there are some situations where it's Kansas City or New England, where it all seems like that goes perfectly together. And a lot of times, that's one of the more difficult parts of the job is that relationship.
Yeah, and I will say this: a lot of fans don't understand also that a lot of times there are family-owned teams,
right,
whether it's Cincinnati, New York, Arizona, that it's a little bit different than a team that has a billion-dollar owner that comes in on weekends and comes in to see the team, versus a guy who's there every day in your building. So, again, it's a much different run organization in many respects.
Fans, we have a lot of output that happens around the draft. And the fans really don't know the inside, underneath hood that the GM and the personnel people have to go through. Why didn't they pick so-and-so? He looks like he's got to be good. Well, they know more. And I think that's the other thing that they kind of get raked over the coals at times. Because we're going to do our homework. It's just not a one-stop shopping thing. You got to be in depth, and great GMs and personnel people are in depth.
I don't think there's any question the quarterbacks.
I was about to say this is the biggest no-brainer of no-brainers.
We win or lose, baby.
We have run analytics over and over, and people will be surprised that over the past 10 years, my last year in the NFL, we ran the analytics that 49% of the first-round picks were successful, okay? And when I say 49%, it was a low bar. It was talking about that player started within his first 3 years as an every-down starter. Well, when it comes to the quarterback position, it's a much lower rate. We're talking about 35% to 40% of those first-round quarterbacks become starters within the first 3 years.
One of my good friends at ESPN, who's still there, does a great job for the research department. They did a 10-year study on first-round draft picks, and their evaluation was if the team that drafted him in the first round offered that guy a second contract, that was considered a good pick.
Right.
It was about 46% return on investments, and quarterbacks were about 42%.
Right.
Wide receivers were like 27%. But yeah, it's got to be quarterback, because if you don't have one, or people, I love when I say, well, we got two that can start. No, if you have two, you don't have one. If you have two, you don't have one.
And by the way, we saw a lot of guys re-sign today that were first-round picks, right?
Yeah.
Whether it was Bijan Robinson or Zay Jones.
Yep.
Zay Flowers. I'm sorry. There's no better feeling as a general manager to draft a guy in the first round and to extend him.
Yeah.
So that feels good because it means he hit on the player.
Zay Flowers signing is interesting to me.
Yeah.
Like, he's a good player, but if you look at
it's big.
That's a lot of money, and just look at the production at that yearly salary, as opposed to the guys that are right around him, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb. Those guys have been way more productive than Zay has up to this point. Yeah,
that's the thing that you're wrestling with all the time within the walls. It's your guy, so if we don't have Zay, who are we replacing him with?
Correct.
And that's the give and take you got to go through, push pull, whatever you want.
And that GM understanding what their locker room culture is and what their leadership is, and all those things that play into it.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks, wins are a quarterback stat. I'm sorry, I will die on that hill. Look, quarterbacks help you win, but you still got to play defense. You could have the greatest quarterback in the world, but if they can't block for him, he's going to get killed. Receivers can't catch, it doesn't matter. I use this example all the time. One of the greatest playoff games I ever saw was the Bills-Chiefs game, divisional round 2021. Josh Allen didn't make a single mistake in that game. He threw the go-ahead touchdown with 13 seconds to play, and somehow they lost that game, and it goes down on his resume as a loss. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
No, I think that's no question about it. It's such, everybody, we know that quarterback position because it's just what we just talked about.
Right.
That it's where everybody's eyes are, it's where ownership's eyes are, and do you win or do you lose?
Well, can I just, listen, I love teams that are proactive in this area. I would rather have my signee set the market than somebody else set the market for me. Because now, Jonathan Taylor and Jahmyr Gibbs, they're saying, okay, he got this, I want this.
Yep.
I would always rather have my guy in the barn than out running free, and you're trying to corral him now with those dollar signs out there.
Yeah, and I think number one, from an organizational standpoint, it shows that you love the player, you're aggressive. It sets a tone. But also, we all are all about comps, and it's all about comps about the next guy. The next guy sometimes gets paid more, whether he's better or not, and that's not always fair, but it's the reality of the game.
That's the way it goes. And, it's like, I'm sure there's a lot of agents' phones were ringing from them players right away. Hey, this. In fact, just a quick story about CP. When they called me, we're getting ready to play the Steelers in the playoffs, and on Thursday evening, they tell me they got a new deal done with Carson, and they're gonna have him come in. And I said, hold on, let me call Chad and TJ.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to go through that on Friday when it gets released.
Right.
That we just signed Carson to a new deal. I want those guys, and they were great, both of them. So that's awesome. That's great for him. Because that's what you want. It's your team, and for the fans of those players, they've got to be excited.
But also, coming from the organization means a lot to the player versus reading it in the paper or seeing it on sports.
Get ahead of it. Yeah, same thing. Get ahead of it.
I think George Pickens personally, and I want to be the one to say this, has a different set of circumstances. George Pickens is a guy that came out with a lot of questions about him. I think he's had a lot of questions about himself in the NFL. So I think he's got to continue to prove himself before he gets a long-term deal.
I think it's, with him playing supposedly right now on the franchise tag, to me that says a lot. Is if he's willing to go in and earn it, more power to him, because he's a good player. He showed that last year, but he's just got to put all the other stuff behind him and move forward.
And there's also the David Mulligetta factor.
Yeah.
You can't ignore that when it comes to Pickens, because David was Micah's agent. Jerry kind of disrespected David in that situation. Micah felt disrespected. David felt disrespected, and I think that's going to have an ancillary effect on this Pickens negotiation.
And quite frankly, listen, we don't talk about this enough. Contracts are put in place to protect the owners and the employees, whether it's players, staff members, and at the same time, listen, when the one person on one side has leverage, they bend the other person over. That's just the point.
When you have the hammer, swing.
When you have the hammer, you swing it. So get the leverage and win with it. Training camp is where every team's dreams begin. It's about building confidence. It's about showing up and putting in the work. The players that make it on the final roster are the ones willing to step up when the moment's in front of them. That's why Joey is behind today's coverage. As a thank you for riding with us, we teamed up with Joey for 35% off your first order. Grab it at meetjoey.com/football.
It's weird, okay? Like I saw something the other day with over the last 10 years, I think they've been one of the most injured teams in the NFL. I don't know much about the substation situation, but it is unusual. I think the Ravens for a few years went through this about 4 or 5 years ago. I don't think I've ever remembered a stretch this long with one team just getting ravaged like this.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the substation as well, but it is. It's just odd that they've had so many injuries to so many starting, contributing players, and it's just hard to overcome. Pretty soon she catches up with you.
Yeah, we talked about this in the studio. Listen, it's no secret that older players get injured more often. and they do have an older team. So that's one of the aspects. And then just the first round pick, Ricky Purcell, I mean, he's a guy that just got a PCL. He's out for the season. He's a guy, though, that throughout his career, college and pros, has had injuries.
Yeah, Ricky's had some
So some of that stuff will catch up with you after time.
I'm sure the Lion fans are like, we don't want to hear it. Last year or 2 years ago, I think they had 25 defensive players on injured reserve. That's 2 starting units, or 11, or like 15. That's a starting unit and 5 subs. I mean, that's how bad it was in Detroit on one side of the ball.
I'm sure the coaches, Kyle, strength staff, John, everybody, they're talking about it. You have to. And I changed everything we did in Cincinnati after the 2012 or 13 season. I read an article that Aaron Rodgers talking about how Mike McCarthy had changed things up in Green Bay, and it's the best he felt. And we changed how we did things based on that. And you know, it's helpful to the players. You have to get them used to it. This is how we're doing it now, but it was helpful.
From an internal organizational standpoint, that you have to look at all your injuries, whether it's soft tissue, whether it's ligament damage. And then quite frankly, I mean, if there are things that need to be changed, we just saw a report that NFL football makes more than basketball, hockey, and baseball combined.
Correct.
They have the money to change things. So it's up to them to do it.
You really do. You're going to dig deep into all your analytics of what you're doing, your performance analytics and everything that way, to make sure as you lead up to camp and you lead up to the training and that you're getting the right accelerations, decelerations, and all those things done. That's what we looked at on the report.
Well, that's one of the weird things that's sort of gone on in these last CBA negotiations, right? The thing that the Players Association has been able to win is we're going to cut down on practices, we're going to cut down on padded practices, we're going to cut down on padded practices during the season. And that has extended some careers, but the only way to get ready to play football is to play football. And I wonder if that's somehow not part of this.
I think that's a great point, because one of the things that I thought as a general manager, Marvin, you could maybe attest to this, as we continue to say that, hey, we're winning from an ownership and organizational standpoint with the CBA, because we're going to continue to get the money we're going to get. Players are going to have this, but they're going to practice less. To me, from a GM standpoint, it's hindered our ability to develop players.
Correct.
And I don't know, Marvin, how you feel about that.
No, I do. I think there's no question about it. It's been a drawback for how the CBA has reduced the amount of time on the field and so forth. But I think as the coach, your job is to make sure we don't go 0 to 75. We got to go 0 to 50, and then we might go 55, 60 to build up to 75 as we go through this first part of training camp. Because we're the only sport that literally goes into practice without having preseason practices prior to. Our preseason practice ends the middle of June, and then they take a month off and come back to training camp.
Even in the last few years, from a meeting standpoint, we had young players that were eager to come in and meet with coaches. We had to kick them out of the building because they weren't allowed to be in there.
Correct.
Yeah.
So here they are wanting to commit their time and their energy to get better, but they couldn't be in there because of the CBA rules that they voted on as players. What gets first, the chicken or the egg? Pass rush.
Pass rush. You knock that quarterback down, get everybody's attention in the stadium.
I say this all the time. A good cover corner takes care of one receiver. A good pass rush takes care of all of them.
Yeah.
Give me the pass rusher.
You don't have to cover as long as you get to the quarterback.
Every time. Every time.
Subscribe.
Subscribe to Inside Football.
Why? Because myself, Brian Urlacher, former general manager Steve Keim, Arizona Cardinals, and legendary coach Marvin Lewis, all on the set, telling great stories and giving you great insight that, guess what? It's not out there. You see what ESPN did? We put together a special group. Subscribe to what we're doing.
It's the right thing to do. I mean, we've got everything covered, and we're covering the season for you because we care.
Well, that's up to okay. It's never going to get fixed until everybody realizes there's a problem.
Yeah.
And the same guys that one year say it's a problem because they're not getting the guys and somebody else is paying them more, the next year they pay more and suddenly it's not a problem. There's no governing body. The NCAA did this as soon as NIL came on. We want no part of it. Y'all figure this shit out on your own. And it has become a disaster. There's no fixing it until there's a consensus that everyone agrees there's a problem.
And I'm not saying the NFL salary cap is perfection, but it's got to be more of an apples to apples sort of ratio where these guys, where Boston College is not completely out of the mix compared to Alabama, what they're getting in terms of.
Well, I know Alabama's out of the mix too because they can't compete.
Correct. Correct.
But that was the thing, is supposedly this revenue sharing was going to even the playing field for a lot of teams, but they found a way around it. Texas Tech found a way around it. So Texas A&M, they complain, now they're better, and now they get, I get my pockets filled up, so now I'm going to be okay. I'm okay with it now.
The unity in the locker room.
Yes.
Chemistry. Yes. You hear all the time that's a high school science. No, it's real.
And the last thing, teams that get hot in the second part of the year. I mean, a lot of people can win a lot of games, but unless you're cooking with gas the second half of the season, obviously that's a detriment.
You're building for the grind.
Yep.
You never want to be your best in September. You want to be your best in December and January. And that's the thing. Are you getting that? That's what you see so many times, these teams that sneak into the postseason.
The 8-8 Cardinals that went to the Super Bowl.
That's
in 2008.
exactly the Steelers that snuck in as the 6th seed and then rode that all the way to Jerome Bettis. We're going home. Super Bowl 40 in Detroit. The guys that can be hot, like it's a long season of attrition. And the guys that can stay healthy and be at their best the last couple of weeks of the season usually play the best in the postseason.
Now it's going to be 17 games and maybe 18 games. It's only going to get.
It's going to be 18.
Yeah, that's going to.
That's Roger has put up that signal for 3 years. That CBA is not up till 2031. Guys, this is what we're doing. Figure out what you want to get when we get the 18th game.
Ryder Cup of golf.
In other words, the best players, the best football college, the best golfers playing in the NFL right now.
Tony Romo.
Romo would be right up there. I think that Josh Allen is sneaky really good right now. I tell you who's really good is the defensive tackle, Kyle Williams, that just retired a couple years ago from the Bills. He almost won the thing in Tahoe a couple years ago. Marty Fish had to chase him down. He's really good. Whitworth isn't bad.
Brian Urlacher doesn't suck.
Brian can hit the ball a mile. Absolutely.
Our own Brian Urlacher.
Patrick Peterson will be on there for
Larry
sure.
Fitzgerald.
Larry Fitzgerald, no question about it. We put together a pretty good team, and we'd be intimidating physically and visually. And that's the mailbag. We got to go get food with Carson. See you later.
Tough job.